wanted to try something first. It's something that we do in church often. They say, look at your neighbor and tell them congratulations. Oh, y'all, look at your neighbor and tell them congratulations. Yeah, I just want to say from me, congratulations to all the academics of this year. You did it. You made it. You made it right up until the end. Your hard work and dedication paid off. Congratulations to all the lecturers and teachers. You guys did it. It's another bunch. Can we clap hands for them, please? It's another bunch. Truly, your investment, your time and your efforts, they got us through the last few years, enabling us to walk away 1 degree hotter, as they say, period. Every person in this room ought to be proud of themselves. Hello, everyone. My name is Blessing Annatoria Chitapa, and I am an LCCM graduate. Yeah. Today marks the day that I celebrate my bachelor's degree in music business management. And today I have the privilege of speaking briefly about my experience here as a student, what I was and what I became. Now allow me to reintroduce myself. Hello, everyone. My name is Annatoria, a 22-year-old Zimbabwean-born artist, MOBO award winner since 2025. Yes, social media content creator and worship director. I grew up in a home that heavily emphasized the importance of strong educational foundations. And with every new year, I proved myself capable of attaining that. Now in 2020, I thought I lost the opportunity to go to university when I got kicked off my A-levels course. Yes, I am in university without grades. I made attempts to adjust to the changes caused by the pandemic while balancing competing on the Voice UK with sixth form. I had absolutely no support during this time from the school. And I don't know if you guys, they started posting me when I won the Voice saying our student won the Voice, when in actuality they kicked me off my A-levels course, but you know, I got over it. Eventually I got to the point where I almost accepted my fate. I would never make it to university. I would never get the opportunity to study. This was where my journey of education was to end. And it was when my mother lovingly came into my room to discuss university options that my hope was restored. Thanks, Mom. What if you studied music, she suggested. And it was always in my ignorance that I would say, I don't want to study my passion, not knowing there would be hubs like LCCM that would do the opposite and enhance the passion and zeal that I had. And this is where the London College of Contemporary Music comes into play. I must admit, despite the strength of my personal statement, LCCM took a chance on me. As a girl without any grades beyond her GCSEs, I had minimal reflection of somebody who had the ability to commit to years of tutoring. I had attended 2 different sixth forms and failed to finish with grades in both. Yet still, I made it here. Now, I have Google to thank for making LCCM the first option in my search for universities, but LCCM, thank you to you for making the decisions between universities incomparable. There was something so unique about LCCM that stood out to me above other institutions. LCCM offered lecturers that weren't just teachers, but they were professionals teaching, industry professionals teaching. I had a chance to learn from those who were actively involved in the music industry. As I was taught here, this industry can undergo changes within as little as 24 hours. So I was excited to know I would have lecturers who would make a plan for a lecture and modify it the morning of in response to new information. Only a small number of students would eventually get enrolled into the university, which meant the selection process was thorough. And I didn't want to be in a place where just anybody could be. You know, I'm trying to be special, you know what I mean? And LCCM, this place should be known as a place where greatness is birthed, where greatness is nurtured. And so LCCM is the place I chose to nurture my God-given talent. Now, the last 3 years of my life have been my biggest years of growth thus far. The last 3 years taught me the power of knowledge and process. And to better word it, the power of knowledge in the process. There's a story many historians and theologians tell that constantly reminds me to stay in the process. Many years ago, there was a son, wrongly accused of committing a crime. Set for a death sentence, he was put before many judges who all bypassed his innocence and charged him guilty of the gravest crime, blasphemy. The book I read about him told me he was beaten, mocked, tortured, and stripped naked before multitudes. He never fought back, nor did he attempt to preserve his life. Instead, he journeyed to the peak of a mountain carrying a cross, one he would have to innocently lay bare on. Why? Why did he go through the humiliation, the beatings, the mockery? And the answer is simple. He knew the outcome. He saw what would be on the other side of that cross. Who would be on the other side of that cross? This man, they call Jesus, understood the simple principle of process and product. Without process, there can be no sustainable product. His process was the cross, the death, the beatings, all for the product of salvation and redemption. For people like me to never be disconnected to my Creator, never disconnected to my Heavenly Father, God. Now my process, not so heavy, but it was school. This journey wasn't always smooth sailing. It wasn't always fun. It wasn't always pleasant and exciting. However, one thing I knew it would be was rewarding. The process was the days I had to wake up at 5 a.m. in Birmingham to make a 10 a.m. lecture in London. My process was the days where I'd be flying in directly from a show and traveling to university with my suitcases in my hands on that dirty underground just to make that 2 p.m. lecture. And Jess would know what I'm talking about. Yeah, just to make that 2 p.m. lecture. It was the days when I was stuck in another time zone, fighting every desire to fall asleep in a lecture. And I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I dozed off. But I feel like you guys may have slept in a couple of your lectures, but the point is I tried. The product though, the product is today, this day that I wasn't too certain would come. The last time I tried school, I didn't make it to the end. My product is a credible degree. Your product is the degree. Graduating today doesn't just demonstrate the genius minds in the room, it's a reflection of integrity, a group of people who are committed, the kind of people you can liken to a tree planted in ever-changing conditions, whether it be violent winds or a gentle breeze. Each person here carries the characteristics of perseverance and endurance. Now, I must thank the lecturers here for their patience. I know I missed a few lectures, but the support I received when I needed to catch up, it was great. Now we're standing here at the finish line with our achievements in hand, the proof of our hard work and efforts. But I must say, although there is value at the finish line, there was so much more earned in the journey, more trophies in the process. There are so many challenges that are difficult to control during a process, but what you can control are the decisions that fate presents you with. Life will keep giving us choices, and choices will always give us outcomes. Nature has a wonderful way of showing us the beauty in rough seasons, in that a rainbow can only appear after heavy rain. And I went through a couple of rainy periods during university. I signed deals before I came in to the module about contracts. I agreed on song royalty splits, not knowing what I was owed and what I could have been rewarded. Right before the lecture about royalties, it was always before the lecture, I learned from my mistakes, bettered my understanding for future purposes, and I earned another learning trophy. You chose LCCM. You chose to push through the last few years and you made it. Your mind and body would have been tested. Today I say that I'm a graduate at LCCM, but I have uttered these words every year in times where I thought I wouldn't finish. And my friends know because I'd call them crying. Yes. Oh yes. Tearing, saying I'm done with university, I don't want to do this thing anymore. But I made it because one of the wisest books on this planet taught me, as a man thinketh, so is he. I have visualized a graduate in the mirror since the first day of being at LCCM. How I was going to do it, I didn't know. And a book written by David Joseph Schwartz says, and this is the magic of thinking big, it quotes, "Belief triggers the power to do. Strong belief triggers the mind to figure ways and means on how to do." It was all about my thinking and my belief. I made it to the end. So did you. Thank you to all my friends and family for all their support in helping me get there. I know that those who do life alone face the risk of exhaustion during and at the end of the race. But doing life with people who love and care for you, who carry you through turbulent seasons, guarantees you fulfillment at the end of it all. So, real life begins now. Not many talk about the real life challenges, the bills, the fact you have to pay student finance. That money, when it came in, it was so sweet. Now I heard you gotta pay it back, which is, not so great. But, not a lot of people speak about that. There will be hard days that none of us is exempt from. And in those difficult days, you have to remember that you are more than what your circumstance is. Remember that you're not defined by where you're planted. Every person here has been predestined for greatness. And I can assure you that no one knows that more than the person who created you. So if you ever get to that point, remind yourself that someone crafted you with significance. He will gently guide you back on your feet. Allow for every disappointment to birth determination. Let that determination raise discipline out of you to help you keep on going. Again, I thank you, LCCM. Thank you for curating a space that allowed us to grow, to learn, and to become. And to the class of 2024, I cannot wait to see what the world has in store for us. Thank you.